everyone. This is the AI breach report, April 2026, end of month wrap up. This is a special end of month wrap up. Um, from me, Frederick Wakuliaka, and Frederick Cybersecurity, protecting medium enterprises. Hello, I am Frederick Wakuliaka from Frederick Cybersecurity, and this is the April 2026 end of month wrap up for the AI breach report. Every Wednesday and Friday throughout April, this newsletter has cut through the noise and delivered what business owners and senior leaders need to know about AI-related threats. In plain language with clear actions, in plain language and with clear actions, today's video does the same thing, but from the altitude of the entire month, not just on a single issue. We are going to look at what April 2026 actually was as a chapter in the story of enterprise security, what the dominant patterns were, and what those patterns mean for your organization going into May. I want to be direct with you from the start. April 2026 was not a collection of unrelated incidents. It was a single coherent story told in 8 chapters. And that story has a thesis that every business owner watching this needs to understand before I am through with this video. The thesis in April 2026, this attack surface moved. It is no longer your perimeter. It is no longer your employees clicking phishing links. The attack surface in April 2026 was the tools your technical teams trust. The libraries they install without thinking, the credentials their development environments cache automatically, the administrative features your cloud platforms ship enabled by default. The attackers knew this, most organizations did not. That gap produced every major incident this month. Let me take you through it week by week. Week 1, the ground is already shifting. The ground is already shifting in week 1. Before we even reached the major incidents that defined the middle of the month, the intelligence landscape in early April was already signaling what was coming. The Tri-V vulnerability scanner used inside most enterprise software development pipelines had a critical flaw under active exploitation, CVE 2026-33634, with a CISA remediation deadline set for 8th April. Chrome had a 0-day under active exploitation. IBM X-Force and Cloudflare had both published annual threat intelligence reports in the preceding weeks. And both were saying the same thing. Supply chain and third-party breaches had quadrupled over 5 years. The perimeter model was structurally obsolete. These were not isolated warnings. They were the opening notes of a theme that would play loudly for the rest of the month of April. Week 2, the Team CP campaign and the Striker attack. Wednesday, the 8th of April, was the edition that established April 2026 as a genuinely significant moment in enterprise security history. The story led with was the team's PCP supply chain campaign. Between the 19th and 27th of March 2026, a threat actor tracked as Team PCP, also designated UNC 6780 by Google's Threat Intelligence Group, executed a cascading attack on 4 widely deployed open source tools in rapid succession. The targets were Trevi, the vulnerability scanner present in most CI/CD pipelines, Checkmarks Kicks, the infrastructure as code security analyzer, Light LLM versions 1.8, 2.7, and 1.8, 2.8. The AI gateway library present in 36% of all cloud environments, and the Telinx Python SDK. I want you to understand what this attack actually did, because the technical description can make it sound abstract when it is not. Team PCP did not hack into your network. They compromised the tools your developers install every day without thinking about it. They turned those tools into credential harvesters. Every time Python started on a developer machine that had any of these 4 tools installed, the harvester collected every credential it could reach: AWS keys, GitHub tokens, OpenAI API keys, database passwords, Kubernetes service account credentials, and sent them to the attacker. Silently, automatically, with no indication to the developer that anything had happened. The credentials harvested in March were by April being linked to partnerships with ransomware groups Cypher, Forge, and Vect, and the extortion group Lapsus. This was not intelligence gathering. This was systematic preparation for monetization through ransomware intrusions. If your organization ran any of those 4 tools between the 19th of March and the 3rd of April without pinning them to a specific version, you were in the exposure window. The second story in that Wednesday edition was Striker Corporation, Iran-linked hacktivists operating under the Handala designation, wiped over 200,000 devices across 79 countries. They did not use a zero-day exploit. They did not use custom malware. They used one compromised global administrator account and a feature that Microsoft ships enabled by default in Intune, the ability to issue a remote wipe command across every managed device simultaneously without requiring a second version to approve the action. 5,500 employees could not work. Operations were disrupted across 79 countries. 3 weeks of recovery followed, and none of it required a sophisticated attack. It required one password. The third story was Marco, a $10 billion AI training data startup serving OpenAI, Meta, and Anthropic, breached through the Light LLM dependency. The same Team PCP campaign, Meta terminated its contract immediately. Marco did not breach itself through negligence. It was compromised through a trusted tool. It had every reasonable expectation to trust. That did not change the commercial outcome. Meta left. And the fourth story was the Cloud Code malware campaign. Anthropic's source code for Cloud Code was leaked, and the threat actor immediately weaponized the leak as a lure, distributing malicious GitHub repositories claiming to offer unlocked enterprise features and no usage limits. The archives contained Vida, Ghost Socks, and Pure Log Stealer, delivered through a Rust-compiled dropper that had cycled through more than 25 software brands since February 2026. The lure changed every time, the payload did not. Friday, the 10th of April, was the defense edition responding to all of this. I always come up with the defense edition in the Friday edition of the AI Breach Report. The headline action was Intune multiple administrative approval. When this control is configured, a single compromised administrator account cannot wipe your devices. The attacker needs to compromise two separate administrator accounts and have the second one actively approve the action in real time. That is a substantially harder problem than the one Handala solved at Striker. The configuration path is under an hour of work. CISA issued explicit guidance requiring it. Health ISAC issued a sector-wide advisory for healthcare organizations carrying the same recommendation as primary action item. This is not optional good practice anymore. It is a documented baseline following a major public incident. The Friday edition was also published the full credential rotation checklist for any organization exposed to the Team PCP campaign. The rotation requirement covered everything accessible from any environment that used the affected tools, every cloud provider key, every GitHub token, every AI provider API key, every database credential. Rotation of any subset was explicitly insufficient. The harvester swept everything. And the Friday edition introduced the AI agent governance gap. The finding from a 2026 survey of over 900 security executives that 80.9% of technical teams had moved AI agents into active testing or full production deployment, while only 14.4% had sent those agents to production with full security or IT approval. That gap, 8 in 10 deployed, fewer than 2 in 10 governed, is the defining security problem of 2026 for organizations in the medium enterprise range. So, week 3. We go to week 3, AI as a weapon at scale. Wednesday, the 15th of April, introduced a story that when I read the forensic report, I needed to sit with for a moment before writing about it. A single threat actor had compromised at least 10 branches of the Mexican government and one financial institution using a documented AI-assisted attack pipeline. He wrote a 17,550-line Python management script that fed telemetry from over 305 internal servers directly into the Open API. The AI did the analysis. The AI identified the paths. The AI told him where to go next. One person, 10 government agencies, 195 million records, AI assisted beginning to end. This edition also covered Google Mandiant's M-Trends 2026 report, published at RSAC 2026. The finding that defines the current threat environment is this: the median time from initial access to lateral movement has fallen from 8 hours to 22 seconds. 8 hours to 22 seconds, that collapse changes everything about how incident response works. Alert-based detection followed by human investigation is no longer a viable containment model. By the time the alert is reviewed, the attacker has already moved. The organizations that contained breaches in 2026 did so through automated response systems that acted without waiting for human review. The Flowwise vulnerability in that edition was also significant. Flowwise is an open source AI platform for building and managing AI agent workflows. The vulnerability, a CVSS 10.0 maximum score, allowed an attacker to take full remote control of an affected system without needing credentials or physical access. Over 12,000 exposed instances were confirmed. If you use Flowwise to build AI agents and you are not patched at the time of that edition, you are fully exposed to complete system takeover. Friday the 17th covered the marker story. in its full commercial dimension, Meta had terminated the contract. The Anthropic story carried the White House engagement over the Mythos system. And the EU AI Act enforcement horizon. August 2026 for high-risk AI system requirements. In its full commercial dimension, Meta. Sorry about that. Let me get back to what I was talking about. Okay, I was on the EU AI Act Enforcement Horizon, August 26 for high-risk AI system requirements, was now close enough to constitute immediate operational pressure for any organization deploying AI agents in critical infrastructure, employment decisions, or healthcare. The gap between deployment rate and compliance rate is not only a security problem, it is an emerging regulatory problem with a specific deadline attached to it. Week 4, the supply chain keeps moving. Wednesday, the 22nd of April, confirmed that the supply chain attack pattern had not stopped. The Vercel breach originated from a compromised, I'll say, oath or zero oath connection. I'll pronounce it in both ways. Through a third-party AI productivity tool called Context AI, a Vercel employee had connected the Context AI Chrome extension to their corporate Google account. The attackers used that zero oath connection, to take over the employee's Google account and access Vercel's internal systems, including unencrypted credentials. The hacker, claiming to represent Shiny Hunters, listed Vercel data for sale at $2 million, customer API keys, source code, database data. The same edition confirmed the full marker breach picture: 4 terabytes of data stolen, 40,000 contractor records, exposed proprietary source code exfiltrated, 5 contractor lawsuits filed. The light LLM malicious versions were available on PI for roughly 40 minutes before being identified and removed. 40 minutes was sufficient to compromise a $10 billion company and destroy its most important client relationship. The CyberStrike AI credential exploitation platform and the Axios North Korean supply chain connection completed the picture. Multiple simultaneous campaigns, multiple nation-state actors converging on the same attack surface from different directions at the same time. Friday, the 24th of April, closed the month with three stories that brought everything together. The Bitwarden CLI supply chain compromise was the most operationally significant incident of the final week. Bitwarden CLI is integrated into the CI/CD pipelines of more than 50,000 businesses. It is a password manager. Its value proposition is that it holds your credentials securely. The Shai Hulud NPM worm turned the version published on 23rd April version 2026 4.0 into a credential exfiltration tool. Any automated process that updated Bitwarden CLI during that window pulled the compromised version into the heart of its credential management infrastructure. The LM deploy vulnerability CV 2026-33626 was a server-side request forgery flow in the AI model serving toolkit used across enterprise AI infrastructure. Active exploitation was confirmed within 12 and a half hours of disclosure. No proof of concept code was required. And Cyber UK 2026 in Glasgow produced the UK government's formal acknowledgement from the security minister at the podium that agentic AI has arrived as a primary threat consideration at government level. The National Cyber Resilience Pledge and the Cyber Security and Resilience Bill advancing toward royal assent both signal that the regulatory environment is moving to match the threat environment. The organizations that have not yet built AI security governance frameworks will have less and less runway to close that gap. The April thesis plainly stated, let me bring this all together. April 2026 was the month that demonstrated that the attack surface has moved to the supply chain. Not to the perimeter, not to your employees, to the tools your technical teams install, the credentials those tools cache, the administrative features your platform ship, enabled by default, and the AI agents your organization has deployed faster than it has governed. Team PCP ran for 5 weeks across 4 tools and is still running. Striker was wiped across 79 countries because one password was compromised, and the default configuration was never changed. Marker lost its most important client contract not because it was negligent, but because it trusted a dependency that was compromised. And the Mexico breach showed that a single attacker with AI assistance and access to a development credential can operate at a scale that previously required an entire team. The organizations that came through April in a better position had 3 things in common. They had version pinned their dependencies before the campaign ran. They had implemented administrative approval controls before the attack came, and they had inventoried their AI agent integrations before they needed to govern them. None of these things require significant budget. All 3 require deliberate configuration and active governance before the incident. After the incident, they are too late. What you need to do before May ends. I want to close with 3 specific actions because the AI breach report is always about actions, not just awareness. The first action, if you run Microsoft 365 and Intune and you have not yet implemented multiple administrative approval for device wipe, device retirement, and device deletion, do it this week. The configuration takes under 1 hour. The protection it provides is direct. This is the single most consequential control to emerge from the first quarter of 2026. The second action, complete your AI agent inventory. List every AI tool, browser extension, software as a service embedded agent, and automation that has been connected to your corporate systems, your email, your document storage, your communication platforms. For each one, you need to know who approved the integration, what data access it has, and how that activity is currently logged. If you cannot answer these 3 questions for any integration, it is ungoverned. Ungoverned AI agents are the attack surface you already saw emerging in April, as I have enumerated and as the AI breach report has been telling you throughout the month of April. The third action, implement version pinning for your open source dependencies. Every package in your CI/CD pipeline should specify an exact version or commit SHA. Every GitHub Actions window, every GitHub Actions workflow should be pinned to a full commit SHA rather than a version tag. This is the specific technical control that would have prevented the Team PCP campaign from being effective against any organization that had it in place. Closing. April 2026 gave us 8 editions of the AI breach report across 4 weeks. Every edition this month traced back to the same structural problem. Trust extended without governance at exactly the moment attackers have learned to exploit that trust at machine speed. May will bring the next wave of credential monetization from the March harvest. It will bring the first enforcement activity under the EU AI Act. It will bring the continued evolution of the supply chain attack pattern as Team PCP pivots to new targets. The AI breach report will be there every Wednesday and every Friday. If you are not yet subscribed, find it on LinkedIn under the AI breach report. Share this video with anyone in your network running a business between 550 and 200 employees. They need this information. I am Frederick Wakuleka from Frederick Cybersecurity. I'll see you in May. Thank you.